So now it's time to talk about Bitcoin's negative governmental score. And why is it score so low on this part of the equation? Because it has no governance, because there's nobody to control it. There's nobody whose head they can put on the chopping block to change the protocol. This is in fact what gives it its Lindy effect, to borrow a term from Nassim Taleb. And by that I mean the longer that something survives, the more likely it is to survive out into the future. And Bitcoin has been up against a China ban and various governments trying to de-incentivize it and to ban it, but they have failed because of the way that the protocol was created. Bitcoin is protected by math, encryption, and a growing 400 exahash wall of electricity that is used, as I mentioned earlier, to mine the coins. And if you were to turn all of Amazon, Facebook, and Google servers and try to corrupt the Bitcoin network by exerting that much power, you would not come close to be able to doing so. And if you tried, everybody would see you coming, and even that wouldn't give you close to the 51% attack that might make corrupting the protocol possible. And I mentioned to you earlier my experience in Myanmar, where people described how they preferred to store their money, their wealth, in gold, because the military junta would just seize the money that was in the bank accounts. This happens in all communist countries, whether it's China, North Korea, Cuba, Canada. That money in the bank is not your property if you dare stand up to the dear leader and his wishes and oppose vaccine mandates. How dare you? Bitcoin lessens the control of these totalitarian states over their citizens because it is much harder to censor or to seize or to control. And if you want to give them the control, then go ahead and adopt that CBDC that they're going to be able to put in your account and then take away from you instantly, and control what you spend on so that the power is once again centralized and you do not have the freedom. This is what we mean when we say Bitcoin is freedom. Because Bitcoin is harder to seize and to tax, it actually limits the amount of money that the government can spend and waste, likely making them more responsible for what they actually decide to spend on, because otherwise the citizens are going to revolt. They're going to leave that jurisdictions. For example, all the governments that were engaged in World War I went off of the hard money standard, went off of the gold standard, so that they could continue to print money to support the war effort, which is what kept it going. Bitcoin, in fact, helped us end that. Bitcoin will help end war. And in the past, countries would go to war in order to seize material, property that was in other country, whether that be gold bars or rare artwork. With Bitcoin dematerializing property and you being able to zap that across the globe at any given time, it de-incentivizes invading a neighboring country. Bitcoin is good for governance because it limits governance. It limits the hand of the state growing larger over its citizens. And I sincerely hope that from this, that you leave me a comment and you tell me if you learned something, if you disagree with something that I say, and if you think that it's worth sharing, please do share it with other people, because as I stated, Bitcoin is an elixir for the planet in terms of its ESG score, which should be off the charts, because Bitcoin is good for the planet, it is good for humanity, and hopefully that you have learned that it's good for you personally as well.